In railroad preservation and model railroading, paint colors are a topic of heated contention. The paint is the culmination of the aesthetic presentation of a piece of rail equipment, especially for museums who have an obligation to present their collections as accurately as possible. Color is tantamount to their work. Unfortunately, color is also very difficult to research, especially when the main resource available are black and white photographs, and old photographs do not capture color in the same way that the human eye sees it, since film and plate emulsions were often sensitive to ultraviolet or infrared frequencies that the eye cannot detect. The process of researching railroad paints may be tedious, but the modern digital age has given us access to billions of pages of historic documents that make the job easier. So let's do a practice run with available Baldwin records to see how this might work, and hopefully it will help you begin your own research. We will use Denver and Rio Grande Western number 223 as an example for the sole reason that I spent 10 years working on it, and because the recent announcement about its sale and move to Colorado has drawn a lot of attention to rebuilding it to represent an earlier time period. If you know your locomotives, you might point out that the 223 was built by Grant, not Baldwin, which is 100% correct. You get a gold star for that kind of esoteric knowledge. However, the 223 was built as part of an order of locomotives that the Rio Grande had placed with Baldwin, but Baldwin could not complete, so Grant picked up the slack. The 223 and its sister engines, when built, had their own Grant-style flourishes, but the Rio Grande asks that they meet their visual standards, so this is one of the rare situations where we can learn a lot from a competitor's records, especially since none of the Grant records survive. To start this project, we have one single photograph of a Grant C16 in its factory paint, depicting number 225 on the turntable with its crew. Comparing it with photos of the Baldwins, we can notice that while the details are slightly different, the striping and lettering is largely the same between the two, hence the logical conclusion that Grant followed the same specifications as Baldwin. The first step in researching Baldwin colors is to check the order books, which are part of the Southern Methodist University collections and luckily for us are digitized online for reading with a very nice searchable index. We look up the railroad name and the number series and it will tell us exactly where we need to go. In this case, it took me a while to find it because they didn't put the number series for the C16s, but other locomotives should be easier to find. In this situation, we need volume 10, page 197. There are two important places to look in the specification sheet for painting information. Near the top right is the boiler jacket or casing. In this case, the Denver and Rio Grande 1024.5Es received American iron jackets. The photograph of the 225 shows that the boiler jacket matches the planished iron jacket on the air pump, so the Grants were delivered with unpainted metal jackets just like the Baldwins. The second paint section is at the bottom left of the page. This tells us the base color and the striping that will be used. In the case of the C16s, or the 1024.5Es, it is style 103 black with color. What this means is that the base color is black, and that the base striping and lettering will be applied in imitation gold paint, which is yellow. If the locomotive were lettered with gold leaf or aluminum leaf, which were both also as common, instead of color, the spec sheet will say gold or aluminum. The black and color specification is important to understand as we move to the next step. Now we go to the Baldwin Styles book, which is basically the Bible for painting Baldwin locomotives after 1872. While the style books were unfortunately not preserved with the Baldwin order books, 2 volumes exist at the Stanford Library in California, and they are also digitized online. Our first stop is the index where we look up the style number. The index will tell us where to find the individual components that make up the style, the cab, the domes, the driver, the tender tank, and sometimes even the headlight when Baldwin supplied those. Often, railroads purchased their own headlights from other suppliers, so it was very common for a locomotive to be delivered without one. Note here that style 103 is actually marked as applying to the Denver and Rio Grande 1024Es, meaning that the earlier Class 56 locomotives were the first to use this particular style from the Baldwin factory. And subsequently, most Rio Grande locomotives received the same style until the company began to request plain black starting in 1886. Style 103 has a series of numbers following it: Dome Style 2, Cylinder Style 6, Driver Style 11, and Tank Style 25. While the headlight is not included within this style list, it is mentioned in the order sheet. It says number 5. The cab box here is blank, but most historians agree that this means to simply use the last marked cab style, which in this case was number 6. This is where photographs are important because often the photos will show that either the style wasn't applied or will show deviations to the styles. We'll now thumb through the book to find each number for the individual components, which when put together will show how the locomotive was painted by Baldwin's artists. Note that the illustrations in the style book show different base colors. These components used on the Class 60 locomotives are illustrated in both black and brown. That is why the specification sheet calling out black is important, because the style illustrations were only made once using base colors of different orders. The color called out in the spec sheet is the only one that matters, not what is visually depicted in the style book. In this exercise, we are lucky enough that a bit of industrial archaeology confirms the documented evidence. The yellow and red striping of Style 103 is confirmed through photographs of Class 60 tender tanks that were dumped in the Skagway River for erosion control, on which the factory paint was revealed as the layers of newer black paint wore off in the weather. Paint historians who consult on historic projects today put in a lot of effort into collecting physical samples from historic equipment, so that every decision can be made with as many justifying sources as possible. Based on the combined photographic and documented evidence, we can extrapolate that the 223 was originally painted black, with yellow main striping accented with red substripes and white pinstripes, which is how our artist completed the paint reconstruction. The 223 was easy to figure out because of the Baldwin records, but what can we do for locomotives whose builders' records no longer exist? Let's take a look at the locomotives at Golden Spike National Historic Park. When the replica 119 and Jupiter were delivered to the park in 1979, historic paint research was in its infancy. At the time, the stereotype for 19th century locomotives was fire engine red, which by coincidence was a color that Disney animator Ward Kimball was fond of, and Ward was hired to paint these locomotives. This period of misinterpretation is also evidenced by Santa Cruz Railroad Jupiter at the Smithsonian, which was restored before the Baldwin records were known, so it is also bright red all around. However, look at the locomotives in the park today and they are not at all bright red. In fact, Jupiter is now blue. Central Pacific Jupiter was built by Schenectady Locomotive Works and Union Pacific 119 was built by Rogers. The records for both builders are currently unknown if they still exist. So in this case, we have to rely on peripheral evidence. Over the years since the replica locomotives arrived at Promontory, historians have slowly been uncovering new evidence to refine their paint schemes to better reflect history. In the case of the 119, it was found that Rogers often used wine color. The real eureka moment was the discovery of a column in the March 20th, 1869 issue of the Sacramento Bee that described the Jupiter by name being painted blue and crimson with gold. The Jupiter and 119 were repainted about 1994, and since then historians have continued to refine the knowledge about 19th century paint, so that when the Park Service is granted the money to paint them again, they will receive a new look once more. Many researchers have been compiling their work into a single railroad paint color compendium document, which is online on the Pacific NG website. Primary source documentation is being collected as it is found in archives and museums and original research, and placed on the internet to be freely searched and accessed. This compendium is not complete. Research continues, historians submit new information regularly, and our understanding of historic railroad paint improves.